Your constant need for new experiences may not mean you love life. It may mean you don't know who you are when you're not producing, improving, or heading somewhere. New plans can look like a full life. They can also cover a productivity identity crisis with nice photos, full weekends, and another thing to look forward to. The test is simple. Does the experience leave you more present, or does it just give your internal scoreboard another point? A productivity identity forms when your sense of worth starts to depend on output. You don't just work hard, you need evidence that you're moving forward. So an empty calendar feels less like space and more like a problem to fix. Work gives you clear signals. You finish a task, solve a hard issue, hit a goal, and someone notices. When that system runs long enough, your brain starts to expect the same proof from the rest of your life. A quiet weekend has no score. There isn't a clean result, no story of what you did, and no proof that you used your time well. So you fill it. You book the trip. No, you take up the class. You plan the hard hike, the dinner, the short break, the new hobby, the thing you've heard you should try. None of those things are wrong. The problem starts when every free hour must justify itself. The loop often starts with work pressure. You push through a long week, feel flat when it ends, and decide you need something new to feel like yourself again. The new thing gives you a short burst of energy, but it also becomes another plan to manage, another cost, and another item on the list. Then Monday arrives. You return to the same work pressure, with less rest than you needed, and a vague need to plan the next escape. Motion starts to feel like relief. But motion isn't always rest. Rest leaves room for your mind to settle. It doesn't need a goal, a record, or a reason someone else would find impressive. You sleep more. You take a long walk. You sit with a book and don't turn it into a project. Nothing dramatic happens, which is often the point. Novelty can do the opposite. When you use it to avoid stillness, it fills the space before you can feel tired, unsure, bored, or a little lost. You don't have to face the question underneath the urge because there's a booking confirmation, a schedule, and a new thing to chase. Boredom then starts to feel like failure. Stillness feels like lost ground. That reaction doesn't mean you're shallow or weak. It means you've trained yourself to read a life through visible progress. If you can't point to what you did, learned, saw, or bought, part of you assumes the time didn't count. And status signaling doesn't stop at cars, homes, or clothes. It simply changes shape. Though a packed life can signal taste, drive, and access without anyone needing to say it out loud. You can perform success through experiences just as easily as through objects. The system is clever that way. It can sell you a new identity while calling it self-care. Think about the free weekend that turns into a full project. You need the plan, the gear, the reservation, the photos, the recap, and then a few days to recover from the thing meant to restore you. Your time off starts to look suspiciously like a second job with better lighting. The cost isn't only money, though lifestyle creep often rides along with it. It's attention. You spend your week thinking ahead, your weekend moving through plans, and your quiet moments preparing the next experience. Soon, you have a life full of activity, but no clean sense of enough. You keep reaching for the next thing because stopping would force you to ask whether all this movement serves you, or whether you serve it. You don't need a smaller life. You need a life that doesn't treat constant motion as proof that you matter. Start with one clean distinction. An experience can serve your life, or your life can start serving the experience. A meal with someone you care about can bring you back to yourself. A weekend away can give you rest. Learning a skill can hold your attention for years. But when the plan exists mainly to prove you're living well, the plan takes control. You're no longer choosing it. You're feeding it. Use this test before you book, buy, or commit. Would you still want this if nobody saw it, heard about it, or knew you did it? That question strips away a lot. It doesn't mean every good thing must happen in private. It means you need to know whether the value lives in the experience itself or in the story you expect to tell after. You don't need to judge the answer. Just name it. Before you add something to your calendar, pause long enough to ask what need sits beneath the urge. Are you tired and in need of rest? Do you want real time with someone? Do you need play? Or do you miss learning for its own sake? Those are clean needs. They point you toward a direct response. But sometimes the need is avoidance. You don't want to sit with work stress, a hard choice, or the blank space that appears when achievement stops giving you a script. Sometimes it's status signaling, just in a more polite form. You want proof that your life has range, taste, and momentum. The system has turned leisure into a resume. You can step out of the office and still feel like you're applying for approval. Once you name the need, give it the right answer. If you need rest, don't give yourself a packed itinerary. If you need connection, don't hide behind an activity that keeps everyone busy. If you need play, choose something with no skill ladder, no gear list, and no need to become good at it. And if you need to avoid something, admit that too. You don't solve avoidance by giving it a nicer setting. A stronger life often looks less new from the outside because it runs deeper on the inside. You return to the same place because you like it there. You keep one hobby long enough to move past the beginner rush and into real skill. You see the same friends without needing a special reason. Repetition isn't a failure of imagination. It's how attachment forms. Think of your time like an asset you hold, not a space that needs filling. Each hour you leave open stays under your control. And that control lets you buy back your time when work, family, or your own needs demand it. A full calendar can look impressive right up until you need room to think. Then you find out every plan already owns a piece of you. Quiet wealth works the same way. You spend on experiences that deepen your actual life, not ones that create a story for an audience. That could mean a simple routine you protect, a low-cost pleasure you return to, or a firm line that keeps work from taking every spare hour. Choose one of each. Keep it plain. Your routine might be a slow morning with no screen and no task list. Your low-cost pleasure could be cooking, reading, walking, or time in a familiar place. Your work boundary could be one evening where no message earns a reply until tomorrow. None of this looks like much from a distance. That's part of the appeal. You build an internal scoreboard by tracking what leaves you steadier, more focused, and more available to your own life. Not what creates the best recap, not what fills the most space. And that original test gets clearer over time. A good experience leaves you more present when it ends. Escape leaves you scanning for the next thing before you've even unpacked. Your freedom starts when your calendar stops acting as evidence that you matter. You don't need a fuller life. You need enough space to know what you want when nobody expects a performance from you. If this shifted how you see your time, subscribe. There's more ahead on cutting lifestyle creep, building quiet wealth, and living on your own terms, without turning your free time into another job.